Australia, Canada, Germany, Denmark, France, the UK, and Finland all just issued travel advisory warnings against the United States. They don't think that it's safe for people from their country to travel to this fucking hellhole, and they are absolutely right. Are we great yet? Is it cool when other countries are terrified of having their citizens visit here because they might end up in prison, and maybe they'll get murdered in a U.S. prison like that Canadian did just a couple of weeks ago, which I'm sure everyone's already forgotten about because every day is full of so much terrible news we can't even keep up with it. Donald Trump's America absolutely sucks balls, and any person who says that they really like it right now is the kind of person who enjoys living in terror. There is some number of people who really enjoy authoritarianism, but I have to tell you guys a secret here. Nobody ends up doing great in an authoritarian regime. Exactly. Nobody ends up doing well. This doesn't end well for anyone.
Fly back to Vegas. Everybody's got their own row. It's like unheard of. So freaking sweet, dude. I'm so stoked. It's like empty. Totally empty. It's so crazy.
Oh, I did a thing today. Actually, I canceled a thing today. Have a look. Yeah. In April, I was supposed to go to New York for a vocal workshop with a bunch of people, and I canceled the trip today. Canceled my trip. I just, as a Canadian, in good conscience, I just couldn't justify going. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons, but I saw what happened to Jasmine Mooney, and I'm seeing videos about when you go to the border, they're checking everything, and I just, my spidey senses just started tingling. And I don't know, call it intuition, I don't know what it is, but there's something that I just didn't feel right about. Not to mention how Canada is being treated, and it sucks. I love New York. It's like one of my favorite cities in the whole wide world, and the people are great, and the food's great, the history's great, and everything's great. And it sucks. I want to go so bad, and I love all the Americans, the Blue Dots, who have been so supportive of Canada during this time, but I just couldn't do it. So it sucks. I canceled it today, so here we are. But you know what, New York? In the words of Jonathan Groff of Hamilton, you'll be back, soon you'll see, and I can't wait someday. I'll come back someday, New York. But yeah, cancel my trip. Apples up.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories, but I'm hoping that you're doing fine. I want us to discuss about something that I feel like it's important for us to our talk in regards to this. Remember some years back, when you could ask a person, which country do you want to go, or which continent do you like to go? People will tell you that one of the most visited places is America. One of the most visited continents is America, specifically a country, United States. And all these dreams that people are aspiring to go to the United States over time is beginning to vanish. People are asking this question: why are people not visiting the America, or why people are not visiting the United States as a country? Buckle up with me in this video. We're going to be discussing about these issues. I feel like it's really, really important to address, as Americans themselves are coming out and asking, why are people not visiting our country? Why are ports so empty? They are not receiving people who are coming inside, and this translates to the number of people that they see on the ports. So, buckle up for this video. I'm your presenter and host, Eugene Stories. We are going to be discussing about these things. Amongst the things that I'm going to be discussing with you is increased xenophobia and anti-immigrant sentiments. The second thing that I'll discuss with you is strict and complicated visa processes. Another thing is gun violence and public safety concerns. Another thing is decline of global reputation and soft power. Also, high costs of traveling and living, as amongst other factors that I'm going to be talking about, medical bankruptcy and lack of health coverage for tourists. Another thing is airport harassment and racial profiling. Also, hyperconsumerism and cultural disconnection, surveillance and digital invasion of privacy. Another thing is political polarization and civil instability, and shift to regional and safety alternatives, amongst other things that I'm going to be addressing with you in this video. So I want you to buckle up for this video because it's going to be so much educational, and I'm going to be relaying my perspective in regards to this. But until then, let me see you later on where I'll be giving my commentary in regards to this. So if you're watching us for the first time, I'm going to be asking you to subscribe to the channel, join our membership, and really get to what we can offer you. But until then, let's get into it. I'll be back with my commentary as usual. So let's get into it.
Visitors are even being told by their home countries to take their vacations and money elsewhere.
Do you feel like your friends and family feel comfortable traveling there?
No, nobody I know back in England or here.
And then the police can take them and just take them to a country outside the States, and then they're not a protected citizen anymore.
Horror stories are emerging of treatment at the border, with one story so shocking it's got many asking if America's still safe.
I think the atmosphere is changing there, so I would prefer to go there. I'd probably stay in Europe.
On tourism, there's been a steep drop-off in international travel to the United States. It was down 12% last month, down even more from Western Europe. Why do you think that there are fewer people suddenly who want to travel to the United States?
Well, there could be a little, there's a little nationalism there, I guess, perhaps. It's not a big deal. And our dollar is a little bit on the low side, and that means that a lot of tourism is going to come in. But I could see a little bit nationalism at work, and I can see it likewise with us not wanting to go to certain countries, but that will work out very easily.
Do you think some people are scared to come here because they hear the stories of tourists who are detained for a few days or even a week or two?
No, we treat our tourists great. We're the tourism capital of the world. There's no place like this. And there may be a little bit of nationalism, but I doubt it. I actually doubt it.
Hey guys, I'm here in the Orlando airport, and there's not a single soul in here. Guys, airports are 24/7. I don't think you have ever seen this in Orlando. This is like one of the most busiest. Oh my God, look at this. I could show you down the hallway. Nobody, guys. I have never seen this before in my life. Look at this. The tram, not a single soul. Guys, this is scary. Anyways, guys, I just thought I'd tell you, this is one of the most busiest airports because of Disney, obviously, right? Disney. Guys, there's nobody in here. Everything is closed down. What's going on? This is the first time I've ever seen this in my life. Guys, let me know in the comments if you ever seen the Orlando airport, Orlando, this dead before. Guys, this is scary. Anyways, guys, I am filming this. Look at this. Look at the tram. Not a single soul. Guys, there's nobody waiting in the hallways. There's nobody in the restaurants. Everything is closed. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of scared. I gotta go. All right, bye.
The craziest news of the day is coming out of Aria, guys. Aria Hotel and Casino, Aria Resorts. This hotel in Las Vegas really charged their guests $26 for a bottle of water that they put inside the mini fridge in the room. And exact same water sells for just $7 downstairs at Starbucks, or just $4 at CVS right outside the hotel. And it is 24-hour CVS. You can buy the entire case of water for $10 from CVS. And this guest paid $26 for one bottle of water. And the crazy part is he had no idea how much that water cost. He found out about it after the fact when the mini bar lady showed up to his hotel to restock. Now he's making them regret by dragging them all over social media, from Reddit to Twitter to TikTok. Every social media has this one as their top story. Even Las Vegas Review Journal is covering it. That is the biggest newspaper in Las Vegas, is covering this story. Now you see all these hotels complaining about how tourism is down, and then they do stuff like this, and then they act surprised when people don't want to come back. There really is no justification for this except the fact that these corporations being extremely greedy, because this is the kind of price that you normally see at the high-end nightclubs, where they would justify high prices by telling you they have to pay their celebrity DJ or the artist and the venue. It's a lot of things that go into it. But this is just a normal hotel room, a normal mini fridge, and you just wanted some water, and they are punishing you for it. I hope they issue an apology and refund this guy his money, because this is not right. This is not good. If it is so expensive for them to provide this service, why not just completely not do it? That way the guest actually knows there is no fridge or water in the room, and they make sure to get water before they come back to their room. And now the guest is pissed, and now everybody hates your hotel, and I don't think this is a good business.
If you're Canadian, just stay home, okay? Don't go to the United States of Rica. Don't even attempt, okay? Just, if you're Canadian and you have a functioning brain with not too much mercury in it, you should avoid traveling to the United States of Rica at all costs. Yesterday, I got denied access in the United States. I thought this was meant for people who are criminals. You know, I thought it was for people who got criminal records, bad people, okay? Not me. I don't know what the heck is suspicious about me, but yesterday I got denied access trying to catch a flight to Florida, okay? Mind you, I did not even want to go. Isn't that funny? Like, in my guts, like, it felt wrong. Like, I didn't want to go. But I already had plans to pet sit. You know, the booking was done. The deal was done. I had to pet it. I was doing it for the pets. But then the agent at Border Control told me that I was taking somebody else's job by pet sitting in Rica, and that the owner should hire a U.S. citizen. I was like, this is not really what you're thinking, because this is a very well-organized website / application where people get to travel and pet sit worldwide, you know, in exchange of staying in houses for free. She's like, nah. And what is it again that you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a content creator, you know, UGC and everything. She's like, that's not a stable income. I'm like, actually, you're right, but, you know, I eat. She like, nah, next time you want to come here, bring your pay stubs, bring your bank statement, bring proof that you have ties to Canada. I'm like, what do you want? Like my lease or something? She's like, yes, that would be a good proof. In my head, I'm like, I know this bird don't think I'm trying to flee my beautiful Canadian country to go in this Trump-fest Rica. Where they give shit to citizens. Now, what? Listen, at that point, I heard enough. I'm pretty sure she had heard enough. And I agreed with her. She's like, I'm denying you access. I'm like, thank you. Okay? Like, thank you for reminding me that I should not even try to cross your border. Like, thank you for knocking some sense back into my head.
This is the second part video to my experience with being held in a federal prison overnight. Obviously spent the night in prison. I barely slept. I was very anxious. I didn't know, I couldn't have any contact with the outside world, so I had no idea whether my mum knew where I was, if anybody knew that I was being deported. So it was one of those situations where you have no control, you don't know what is going on, and if I'm being quite honest with you, I didn't even know if I was going to get out the next day. I kept having to ask people, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I remember just being in this headspace of like, I'm going to be sent somewhere and I'm never going to get out of this situation. Another thing that was really hard for me to comprehend at the time, and it was something that I just was not understanding, was when I was being processed in custody, the officer told me, which was they were part of the jail. So at this point, the CBP officers had left and I was just talking to the prison officers, and he told me, like, don't worry, you're not getting a criminal record, you're not being charged with anything, you're not under arrest. And I remember sitting there saying, like, if this is the case, why am I here for? Like, I'm in prison. I am being cavity strip searched, I'm being fingerprinted, photos are being taken of me, I'm signing documents. Like, why am I being processed in a jail for? Like, what you're saying and my environments, they're just not making sense and they're not lining up. So it was something that was like, that's why when I was in the prison, I didn't believe that I was going to be getting out the next day, because I'm like, oh, this is wild. Like, none of this makes any sense. So after spending the whole night in prison, I was then picked up by CBP officers the next day, taken back to the airport. I was handcuffed again and walked through the airport. So the exact same process occurred. And then I was put into a room until I had to board my flight at 12 p.m. I was flying Hawaiian Airlines. And I still hadn't spoken to my family up until a few hours before I boarded the plane. And that was because my family called the CBP office. So after all those hours, no Border Patrol official person had reached out to my mom or reached out to my husband and said, hey, this is where your daughter's been taken overnight. Like, they had not said anything. They have not said a word. There is a lot more that I want to add into these videos, but for now, I just wanted to pretty much explain what happened to me upon me leaving the airport and arriving at prison. There are a lot of different interactions that occurred while I was in there, but I just wanted to outline like the process and what happened from the airport to the prison.
He hasn't done anything wrong other than not being born in this country.
Rachel Leydig is a ball of emotions. Her husband, 35-year-old Guillermo Lemes Cardoso y Silva, or Guy, was detained on San Juan Island in Washington on Friday.
He was recording as this was going on, and there was a larger agent behind him who took his phone, took him out of the car, and pushed him against the car and handcuffed him. All the other ICE agents were masked behind him, laughing and saying that they were glad they didn't make the news this time.
Originally from Brazil, Guy is a Sausalito-based artist who has painted murals across the Bay Area and the country. Rachel says Guy has no criminal record or warrants. She says he's in the green card application process and trying to get his work permit renewed.
I really hope I can get out of here very soon because I have my family to take care of.
This is happening to so many people. We need him. Our little boy needs him, and I just don't want to go through this without him.
Here's some Las Vegas breaking news that hasn't made the news yet. MGM Resorts just told all of their concierge employees across all of their properties, with the exception of Aria and Bellagio, that they are being laid off. This is a couple weeks after laying off the valet, doorman, and bellman at Excalibur and announcing the closure of the Luxor Buffet. We know that travel and tourism is down. Aside from global issues and the Canadians boycotting us, many Americans fear that we are headed for a recession and they are tightening up their spending. But what's going on at MGM feels a little bit bigger than that. Multiple executives in recent months have resigned or are rumored to be considering resignation, with small downsizings and rumors of more occurring at multiple properties. This is after raising resort fees and parking fees twice in 2024. Fees keep going up and amenities are being scaled back. It feels like everyone's trying to be tight-lipped about this, but I think we need to talk about it. Are more layoffs coming? Is this a sign of the times? Let me know what you think and follow me for all the Vegas.
Okay, quick story time. Went to Vegas 3 weeks ago. It's for March Madness with my husband. Little getaway. We go at least 4 times a year. Leaving on a Friday night is iffy because Vegas is just popping on Friday nights. However, March Madness, Friday night, flying in to an empty airport. Walked right in the taxi line. There's no line. Get in the taxi, ask the taxi driver, where is everybody? He goes, it's been like this. It's been like this for a long while. And he says, it's like worse than COVID. And we went during COVID, and it did remind me eerily of COVID. It was just feeling like, I don't know if I've been in Vegas on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning, it feels like that, but all the time. You know, it's just very, very empty. And so we were able to get restaurant reservations at the last minute anywhere we want. The tables were like $10, $15 tables instead of being $50, things like that. The platforms to go to dinner if you want to take the tram, like the free tram by the Aria, if you're familiar, completely empty, like eerily only people there. And so I saw this one family come up all excited, and I go, it's usually not like this, just so you know. It's just usually just jam-packed with people. You're fighting to get on the tram. But you know what, it's possible is they all took Ubers because there's nobody on the strip. So we ended up taking taxis and Ubers later because they can just go straight down the strip instead of having to go around the hotels and try to avoid traffic. There's no traffic. And so that's the way Vegas is. And it is, so anything that you see online about Vegas being dead, it is not propaganda. That is absolute truth. If it's like that on a Friday night during March Madness, which we go to March Madness in the past, we've been there for this time, it is usually just swamped with people. So I don't know, but things are already turning in the travel industry. So this is my story for today. I just thought I'd share that. Hope you're having a good day. Bye.
Should Australians be travelling to the US right now?
At the very least, I think Australians need to reconsider travelling to the United States. And there's been numerous reports, regardless of profession, which I think is the important thing, of people being detained, interrogated, their electronic devices searched for in particular online commentary, negative commentary about the Trump administration. And even in a number of cases, people being temporarily imprisoned at different locations in the United States. People from Europe being detained for 19 days in detention facilities. So what's really happening here is Border Force agents, I guess, have a, for lack of a better word, key performance indicator that they need to meet in terms of inspections. And so a lot of people, just based on the suspicion of this, are being questioned and interrogated as well. The Australian Consular Services cannot guarantee they'll be able to help you. So if you are detained and they do take your electronic devices off you, which they would, there's really no one that can help you.
Stunning images of near-empty passenger planes are popping up on social media. These international flights have many tourists flying to the USA practically alone. Shauna Massengill flew from London to Chicago. Look, barely anyone on board.
This is really shocking. I've never been on a flight like that.
This flight from Toronto to New York is also practically empty. And a flight from Toronto to Fort Myers, row after row of empty seats.
Here in California, international travel is predicted to decline by 9% this year, driven by higher tariffs imposed by the Trump administration and negative sentiment toward the U.S.
The drop in numbers of Europeans traveling to the U.S. is staggering, and depending on the country, it's down as much as 42% over last year. That's just Europeans not traveling to the U.S.
Here in New York, tourism is also being hit big time, once again driven by negative sentiment toward the USA.
The Trump administration has announced that they're going to be charging a visa integrity fee to every flyer coming to the United States. The fee will be $250, and it will supposedly be reimbursable to some people, but Trump is really doing everything he can to ruin the World Cup and really stop people from coming to enjoy the World Cup. Maybe he just wants Americans to be the only people actually going to the games. And if you're wondering, well, will this just be increase from other fees people have to pay? No, this will be a fee on top of every other fee. This is for non-immigrant visas, so tourists, business people, anything along those lines. If you have H-1B1 visas, you pay the H-1B1 visa fee, and then this other fee on top of that as well. Our tourism industry has already taken a massive hit this year due to ICE, and this is only going to make people less likely to come to the United States for tourism. the amount of money we're going to lose from this is going to be pretty massive for the tourism industry.
It may not be the best time for Irish citizens to travel to America at the moment. There have been various European tourists who have been detained in detention centres by ICE. I'm going to tell you about each of them, and then I'm going to show you the pictures of the detention centres. And even Cabby Lame, a very famous TikTok influencer, was detained. Although he was granted voluntary departure, Jessica Brosch, a German tourist and tattoo artist, was detained for carrying tattoo equipment, and she was held for 6 weeks at Otte Messe Detention Center. Lukas Schlaff, another German citizen, was accused of breaching his 90-day stay. The answer to this agreement was misinterpreted, which led him to being held and detained for 16 days. Becky Burke, who is Welsh, had some visa issues and an unclear work status, which led her to being held for 3 weeks. Even a German-born US citizen who holds a green card was held for 2 months before his release in May. So what can cause you to be detained in the USA as a tourist? If you misstate anything about your visa, even minor technicalities are now taken into account. They do a routine search of your devices and your social media, and if you have ambiguous travel patterns. What can this mean for Irish citizens? Well, firstly, there is no privacy. Like, they will check your social media, they will check all of your devices. Legal protections are very limited. If you get denied entry, you cannot appeal that. It's important for Irish citizens to comply with the stricter entry laws to avoid detention. Now I'm going to tell you about the detention centres. Detainees report being given mouldy food, dirty mattresses and used underwear. There is huge overcrowding and medical neglect, isolation from legal support, and a lack of transparency and oversight. Remember, guys, if you want to travel to the US, make sure you comply with their new travel laws.
No, I'm not going to be traveling to the US. I would be more scared going to the US at this time.
It is scary right now. It is a scary time for Canadians and everybody around. The orange guy, he's going to be the orange guy. Like, at the end of the day, Miami, like, we're going to go to Miami.
I wouldn't say I'm scared. I'm a very big looking white guy, but I don't travel to the US. I don't have any plans to, and I don't want to.
I'm supposed to be going tomorrow night, and I'm a little nervous just because of all the things like going through your phone. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to be with my mom. So we're just two gals going to a concert. I'm sure we'll be okay. It's just for a couple hours, but I wouldn't want to like travel there right now to stay over.
I think it's kind of difficult not to go to America just because of the nature of my work, but also just there's amazing things there to see. I have friends and family that live in the US. And what's happening right now with the tariffs is awful and I think really divisive, but ultimately I will try to avoid to buy American products, but I don't know if I could avoid going there.
Do not travel to America. Do not travel to America for the next 4 years. You do not want to get caught up in Trump's deportations. I'm sure by now you've heard of the German and UK tourists who were arrested by ICE and detained for days. Allegedly, the German tourists were chained. You do not want that to be your story, especially if you are taking your family on holiday with you. Do not spend your hard-earned money on a country that does not appreciate you as a black or brown person. For the next 4 years, the world is your oyster. Maldives, Thailand, Bali, Hong Kong, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. These are all amazing places. Let's not go to a country that's increasingly becoming lawless. A country where the president has no respect for the rule of law. A country where the president ignores federal judges. My family and I go to Florida every single year. We love Disney, we love Universal, but for the next 4 years, we're going to be going anywhere but. And I think that you should all do the same. Do not travel to America. Pass it on.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. The following are the reasons as to why I think people are not visiting America. The first reason is increased xenophobia and anti-immigrant sentiments. Since the Trump administration, implementation of harsh immigration policies such as the Muslim ban, family separations, and mass deportations, America has projected an image of hostility towards foreigners. This climate of xenophobia, rooted in white nationalism and fear-mongering, makes many international visitors, especially from the global south, Muslim majority Muslim majority countries and non-white nations feel unwelcome or even unsafe. Travel is not just logistical, it is psychological. And when destination cultivates fear, you know very well that visitors withdraw, and that's the first thing that happens. And I'm going to be explaining this. Remember, Trump's policy Protect 2025 was marked with a lot of anti-immigration, at least creating what is called immigration crisis in the United States. Now, this has a ripple effect, and the ripple effect is when people see how immigrants are being treated in the United States, you know very well how they'll react in regards to this. This will cause what is called fear-mongering, and how people won't visit these places based on the fear that they have that some people, when they visit these places, are being treated, right? And these affects the number of people that you see showing up in these parts. And that's how it happens, right? The second thing that I'm going to be talking about is strict and complicated visa processes. Yes, the US has long had one of the most difficult and expensive visa application processes in the world, right? As long as one of the, for many, especially from Africa, Asia, Latin America, acquiring a US visa involves inversion interviews, long waits, high rejection rates, and significant financial requirements. The perception that visa denial is likely, despite having legitimate travel plans, discourage many from even attempting to apply. And yes, this is true, because it has been confirmed that majority of people that visit the United States, they complain that they have gone through difficulty in acquiring visa. Even visa acquisition process, it's not easy. A lot of interviews, a lot of questions, high rejection rates, amongst other things that we have talked about that affect all these processes. And you get how really these can be devastating, and how really these affects the population. How really this affects the population of people that are getting inside the United States. Also, I'm going to be talking about gun violence and public safety concerns. Mass shootings and gun violence in the United States are widely reported and shocking to international audiences. With over 400 mass shootings annually and few restrictions on firearm access, the US appears chaotic and dangerous compared to countries with stricter gun control laws. Tourists from nations with low gun violence are increasingly questioning whether visiting America is worth the risk to personal safety. Look, this is not a stereotype. This is just a fact. Gun violence in the United States is one of profound topics that people need to talk about, just being honest, right? Because you could see a daytime gun shootout without even knowing the reason, gang violence and all these things that are going on. And so seeing all these videos circulate across the internet, because we are living in a global world, seeing all these images, seeing all these videos circulate across the world, you know the image that it is creating towards people who at least want to visit, and people who have never lived in a country where there is people live with guns, right? So it's so much difficult for them to understand this. I'm also going to be talking about the decline of global reputation and soft power as one of my talking points also. American soft power, once driven by Hollywood, innovation, higher education, and democratic ideas, has declined. Remember, scandals around police brutality and the January 6th insurrection and foreign policy blunders, for example, Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaza, have eroded America's global image. People no longer associate with the US with freedom, progress, and opportunity to the extent they once did, making it a less aspirational destination. Remember the policies that the United States has subscribed to, right? The stance that it has taken in these all geopolitical stances and how people view them really makes people even lose hope in visiting America as a continent or the United States as a country, right? Because of all these shifts that are going on and how really this is affecting people visiting these places. I'm also going to be talking about high cost of travel and living. Yes, this is so much common, and you know it very well that the United States is now one of the most expensive countries to visit. Taxation, amongst the things that are affecting the United States, because even the United States citizens themselves, they find it difficult to live. The United States is a corporate country. The top 1% are striving to get a lot. The bottom 99% are also struggling to get out of these. And so this creates a big margin. And for you to survive as a person who comes out of the United States, it becomes so much difficult. From inflated hotels prices, tipping culture, and the healthcare costs to expensive domestic transport, the affordability of visiting America has become one major barrier. For middle-class tourists from Europe, Asia, or Africa, a trip to the US is increasingly seen as financially unjustifiable when other countries offer better value and safer environments. And I hope this just makes sense to you from this point of analysis. Also, I'm going to be talking about medical bankruptcy and lack of health coverage for tourists. Look, unlike other countries, universal healthcare, the US has privatized healthcare systems that charges exorbitant fees even in emergency situations. For tourists, a simple injury or illness can lead to tens of thousands of dollars in medical bills. This fear of catastrophic medical expenses deters many travelers from risking to visit the United States, especially older adults or those with pre-existing health conditions. And you understand how that happens. And I hope it just makes sense to you, because this is what we're talking about. This is what we're trying to elaborate it to you and make it make sense. Because when you're traveling to a different country, you need to put money aside for things like medical. And when there is medical bankruptcy in the United States, because people are fighting just to get Medicaid, and you see how the United States government is playing a Ponzi with all these Medicaid recipients. And this is something that has been happening for the longest time, and you're seeing it happening today. Amongst other things that I'm going to be presenting is a medical bankruptcy and lack of healthcare coverage as one of the most things that are affecting these people in the United States, so to say, right? Also, you have seen videos circulating about airport harassment and racial profiling. Yes, this is true. This is among the factors of things that I'm talking about. First, Customs and Border Protections, that's CBD, CBP in the US has a reputation for hostility, particularly towards travelers of colors, Muslims, those from suspicious countries. Reports of being interrogated, detained, or sent back without cause are common. These humiliation experiences turns away not just individuals, but an entire network of potential tourists who hear these stories and decided to avoid America altogether. Right? So you understand how it all goes. My eighth talking point is hyperconsumerism and cultural disconnect. It is true that global tourists are increasingly drawn to destinations that offer cultural heritage, sustainability, authenticity. Now, here's the catch. America's global brand is increasingly associated with consumerism, fast foods, entertainment monopolies, features that do not appeal to modern, conscious and cultural curious travelers. The homogenized, corporate-driven experiences in many U.S. cities fail to attract those seeking meaningful cross-cultural engagement, right? The other thing that I'm going to be talking about is surveillance and digital invasion of privacy. It's true that post 9/11 policies and recent technological expansions have made the US one of the most heavily surveilled countries for visitors. Travelers are now subjected to data scrapping, phone inspections, and facial recognition at airports. The perception that one's privacy will be violated even before stepping into the country deters many from coming. This is especially true for journalists, activists, and academics. The 10th thing in this presentation that I'm going to be talking about is political polarization and civil instability. The United States is experiencing unprecedented political divisions, which frequently erupts into protests, clashes, and widespread social unrest. From Black Lives Matter uprising to MAGA rallies, visitors fear getting caught in civil disturbances or navigating a tense political environment. Now, tourists seeking comfort, ease, and stability, qualities that America at the moment does not consistently project. And this is what happens, right? Also, talk about shift to regional and safer alternatives. Tourists now have more accessible to cultural rich and political stable alternatives. Countries like Canada, Portugal, Japan, UAE, Ghana, Thailand, Kenya are offering easier visa access, safer cities, and more welcoming environments for global travelers. Especially post-COVID, the risk-reward calculation often excludes the US as other destination meets their tourism desires without complexity or hostility. I just need to get to understand that. So, in conclusion, you need to understand that the diminishing role as a global travel hub is a reflection of both internal decline and external perception until the US addresses its systemic issues ranging from racism and violence to foreign policy and visa reform. Its appeals will continue to win the global the global stage. I'm your host and presenter, EMPTY.People Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.